Jada, could you say a word or two, please?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, thanks.
Do you want my camera on?
Councillor Murray? Are you able to say a word or two, please? Jada, could you say a word or two, please?
Oh,
Here we go. Okay, just a sec.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, thanks.
Do you want my camera on?
Joel,
Councillor Murray?
can you speak, please? Unmute your microphone.
There we go.
Joel, can you unmute your microphone?
Actually, try Jada. Jada, could you please speak again?
Yeah, I'm here.
We have the same issue of the low volume.
Everything's turned up.
We have a problem doing presentations.
Who's all at City Hall right now?
So we're just going to wait and see if we can fix the volume for guests phoning in.
Okay. Who's all down there?
Yeah, I think
Vic and Barbara are here, and I think that Joel's on his way.
I had this stupid minute track turned all the way up to the top instead of the opposite.
Everything is fine.
So can we test to see, okay, volume on our Collins? Jada, can you speak again? Just want to make sure your volume is up here.
Hey, yeah, I'm here. Test.
Perfect.
Testing 1, 2, test.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's what I mean, this list is guests, that's good. Okay, let's start the meeting. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the October 27th meeting of the Board of Police Commissioners. If I have approval for the public agenda, motion, please. Vic moves that. Anyone opposed? Okay, and the minutes from the September 29th meeting. Motion
I'll move
to
that.
adopt those. Okay, that's Jada. Anyone opposed to those minutes? Okay, that's carried. We have 3 reports on the public agenda. Just before I have Chief Yu move us to report 25 on the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, I want to publicly thank the Board of Police and the staff that have been supporting this committee for the past 4 years. This is our last meeting of the Board of Police of this term. I think I can speak for Councillor Young, where we certainly want to be back again to continue the cause in the next 4 years, but for the purposes of this term, I want to thank each and every one of you who's in this room and beyond this room for keeping Regina safe, but also moving our agenda forward for keeping us safe as a community. Chief, you and your senior team, I want to thank you again for your work you've done. It's been a pleasure to be on the commission, to be the chair of the commission. So just want to make sure I get that on the record, in the minutes, not really, but just to say really a wonderful time, and I really have enjoyed being on this commission. So Chief, if you could start us on report 25. I believe there's a presentation as well.
Just got to get my mic on. Good morning and welcome. Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity this morning. I know we've got a fairly full schedule of reports when we go into the private session as well. We do have a number of presenters that are going to come in and present, and on this first one, the Truth and Reconciliation Committee, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Laura Lee Davies. Laura Lee is the chair of this committee and has been the chair since its inception, and we've got some great momentum. This committee has done some great work and has touched lots of different areas of our police service, as Laura Lee will explain as she walks through this report, but it's even made some positive impacts on our competition for promotion and other valuable pieces of our organization. So with that, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Laura Lee Davies.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, Your Worship, members of the board, members of the public who may be joining us as well. Pleased to talk this morning about our TRC committee. The committee was formed in 2018, and it's comprised of both sworn and civilian personnel. We have mandated representation for a number of areas within the service, including the Cultural and Community Diversity Unit, the Indigenous Recruitment Liaison Officer, Public Information and Strategic Communications, as well as our Community Engagement Unit. Outside of that, we have 10 members in total, and it's committee members are selected through an expression of interest, and so everybody on the committee is there because they're interested in moving this work forward. And the committee is chaired by an executive committee member, just so that we have access to budget dollars and that kind of good stuff. Sorry, I should note that there is a handout of PowerPoint if you wanted to follow along. As the Chief mentioned, one of the, I think, the most valuable pieces of work the committee has put forward is including Truth and Reconciliation material in our promotional competitions. And so really embedding TRC into our process for selecting leaders in our organization. So starting in 2018, the promotional material included The Education of Augie Morasti, which is a great book about the story of a young man who went through residential schools and his struggles after that. In 2019, the promotional exam material included the justice-related calls to action, as well as a 20-page excerpt from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada. It was sort of the final report summary. And in this year, our members just wrote the exam last week. They included the MMIWG calls for justice, and so officers writing for promotion were provided with a 44-page excerpt from Reclaiming Power in Place, the final report of the National Inquiry, and that also included excerpts from the forensic file audit, and so it was really focusing on police files and the lessons that were learned in going through those, and certainly relied heavily on Ms. Katrina Swan in selecting that material, given her involvement in the MMIWG work. Other initiatives that the committee has put forward: in 2019, we hosted a ribbon skirt making class. We had 13 members participate in that. All people were taught about the significance of the ribbon skirt, the certain colors, what they represent. It really was such a good class. And everyone sewed their own skirt, literally sewing machine, stitch, needle, and thread, and members wore them to our round dance, which happened to fall just a couple of weeks after that. So it was really significant. We also have hosted a Lunch and Learn, and we had retired Corporal Jim Pratt share with us the stories of the RPS TP, the RPS Round Dance, and the RPS Elders Advisory Committee, and the RPS Eagle staff. And so I know that those stories were meant to be shared with members of our service, and so it was really a great way to hear them from Jim. And that information is now posted on our intranet site, and so all members have access to that information. The TRC committee is also involved in testing and possibly participating in a cultural competency training. This training is being rolled out through SAS Sport, SAS Polytech, and the Saskatchewan Human Rights Commission. We have 2 committee members that sit at sort of a higher level and involved in sort of the day-to-day work and getting that training off the ground. So that's something we're excited about as well. A number of our employees participated in a pilot on the first module, and it received a lot of feedback, really good feedback. The committee also worked in bringing the Our Journey story forward. Ms. Wendy Stone, who is one of our committee members, really worked hard to put together the 40-page document that highlights our past and current initiatives, partnerships, activities, and relationships that assist our service. And that information is available to members of the public on our website as well. And I believe that document was shared with the board last year. In terms of upcoming projects, we had 21 people signed up late last year for Cree classes. Unfortunately, our instructor had to reschedule, so we're hoping to get those back up and going in January. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of the activities that we had planned for this year had to be postponed, just with having members get together and bringing people into our building. We do provide information to members about Orange Shirt Day and other events, and we ordered T-shirts for that event as well. And so really looking forward for 21 to bring a lot more activities. We'd like to bring some speakers in, have some additional lunch and learns, and potentially have those open to members of the public as well, depending on the situation at that time in relation to the pandemic. So I think those are the highlights of the report, and certainly would be happy to entertain any questions.
Good. Thank you very much for the presentation. Any questions? Councillor Young.
Thank you, Laura Lee. One of the things that I've been thinking about is that you are now moving into some cultural training, and you also are giving information about the missing and murdered women, Power in Place. We were going to have a presentation by Katrina Swan and someone from the university who is well versed in what trauma does to people. And it was supposed to be a public meeting with members of council and the administration and the police service. And that was just when COVID hit and we had to close everything down. So I just would like to put forward the idea that there is some training that council needs, and that we would benefit by if we had some sessions where we could learn more about what that training looks like, and even take some ourselves.
For sure, absolutely. Well, once we sort of have a final project, absolutely. And I know that the plan is through that larger agency to share it with different organizations, and so yeah. I'm sure that that's certainly something.
And I'd love to hear Katrina give us her presentation on her experiences, because she was part of that missing and murdered women's writing of the police actions in the report, and I think that would be really valuable for us to hear. Later.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Anyone else? Any other comments? Commissioner Yee, do you have any comments?
Yeah, actually, I just have a couple of comments. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
okay?
we can. Yep. Go right ahead.
No, I think, I want to commend both Katrina Swan and you, Laura Lee Davies, for the work you've done throughout the year. I know truth and reconciliation is a work in progress. You guys have made progress. I was really impressed with the document that you provided last year, which is My Journey. I'm happy that it's available to the public because the public can actually see all the work that RPS is doing towards reconciliation. So I am very thankful for that. But also, I have a question, I guess, about the murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls calls to justice. Have you guys identified which calls of justice you guys implement into RPS?
Thanks for the question. Yeah, there are some that are a little bit more applicable to policing, I would say, or justice. It's similar to the TRC calls to action. And so, yeah, we have been able to go through and identify which ones, and they really do form part of everything from what we use for education material for our promotional exams to working through the work that Superintendent Davies has been speaking with this committee. I think a lot of it has to do with quality of investigations, ensuring that we've got those quality investigations happening, especially in cases of murdered or missing Indigenous women. Our major case management changes that we made over the last couple of years have made incredible strides forward for our organization when it comes to that investigative capacity and control of a file. And I think another big part of it coming out of that inquiry was the contact with the families and ensuring that we place emphasis on the relationship with the family, understanding their need for answers, understanding the need for communication. And although the victim services area of our police service is mandated to do a lot of that work, the work that our investigators do, especially on those serious files, I think is second to none. We are seeing investigators having daily contact with family members, respecting traditional cultural requests for things like smudging and those types of requests that come in through the family. And so I would say that we are absorbing in every way possible those calls to justice into the operational work we do and trying to thread that through also promotions and advancement and just making it part of our culture within our police service as well. Superintendent Davies, do you have anything to add to that?
This year we had the okay, there we go. We had the MMIWG calls to justice as part of the promotional material that was included, and so we had approximately 160 members who competed for promotion. And so although that document is something that has been provided to people to learn and understand about to everybody in our service, I think there's no better way to get people to really dig into it when they're studying for something. And so I think that that's really positive and just will spread that knowledge throughout the organization to raise awareness, and that people can start to think about that in their everyday work.
Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much. Other questions, comments? This report will be on the website. People can see this. I think it's important that the community be able to see the good work being done. That's good. Okay. We have a motion to receive and file the report, please.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Yee, all those, anyone opposed to that? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Move on to the second report, Angus Reid Survey Report. Chief?
Great, thank you very much, Your Worship. So this report is basically bringing forward a survey that was done by the Angus Reid Institute. I think most of us are familiar with Angus Reid. They conduct independent surveys and other work throughout the year on various different topics. And they conducted an online survey from the end of August to the beginning of September, so over a fairly short time period, that really focused on police and policing in Canada. They, through their work, asked participants questions in about 4 different areas. They covered topics like views of police in Canada. They tried to understand what interactions with police looked like, if the presence of police changes feelings and perceptions of security. And then they put together what they called a policing perspective index, and that is listed at the bottom of page 2 on the report, really breaking the public into 4 different categories. True blue, which is tends to be the very pro-police, openly supportive people in our community. The silent supporters of police, the ambivalent observers who really don't commit one way or the other, and then the defunders, as they categorize it, which are people who feel less secure in police presence and maybe in some cases represent some marginalized communities who have more regular and frequent interactions with the police. You know, I think like any survey, there's lessons to be learned, and there's helpful, constructive things that we can take from them, and just the ability for us to understand that the presence of police doesn't always make everyone feel more secure. There are people in our community who the presence of police has an adverse effect, and so that's something that we are aware of, and we're constantly working to better entrench and build those relationships in our community. The one thing that I did note, and we spoke about briefly last week, was that the respondents from Saskatchewan in this survey are more likely to view the police in their community favorably and positively compared to other provinces. And then distilling that down even a bit more, Regina respondents reported the highest positive perception at 84% of police when compared to 10 other cities in the survey. We viewed that as a very positive thing. And again, this was very independent. We, in fact, didn't even know this survey was being conducted until the report came out, and it was forwarded to me by someone at the university. So we've got the executive summary attached to this, and I would like to thank our strategic services area for putting that together. There's an appendix A that gives you a bit of a distilled down version of the report, and then the actual report is attached to this as well.
Any questions or discussions? Councilor Murray.
Thank you. Just through the chair. Does Dr. Nick Jones have a copy of this? I'm assuming he would.
Yes, I believe, well, I know he does. It was Rick Riddell from the university that had sent this over to me, but in one of the email correspondences that I had with him, I saw Dr. Jones was CC'd on it, so I didn't have any contact with him about this, but I know he is aware of it and has a copy of it.
Great. That's my only question. Thanks.
Any other questions, discussion?
My question was similar to Joel's. I just wondered who people could contact if they wanted more information about it. And so Dr. Riddell.
Well, I don't think it would be. I think it would have to be the Angus Reid. Yeah, the Angus Reid Institute is who would have to be contacted. This was. There are some contacts. If you look at the very bottom of the first page of the report, there's a phone number and email contact for people that have been involved in this. So, excuse me, I would recommend that they would probably be the best. The University of Regina didn't have anything to do with this survey other than they saw it, found it online, and forwarded it to us for our information.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, in that case, could I have a motion to receive and file? Anybody opposed? Carried. Next item. The 2027 monthly crime statistics.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The crime stats report this month, again, continues to show a decrease in crime. This is something that we've seen in a trend really from early in the year. We've talked about the possible reasons for this. Some of it, I believe, is COVID related. Others has to do with enforcement efforts. In fact, in some of the categories where we see the stats going up a bit, for example, if you look at the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act part of the extract, that number is increasing, and I think I can say that's safely. I mean, yes, there is more drug use and activity in the community, but our enforcement efforts have been constant throughout the year, and in fact, I believe that's a big part of what drives that number. So our crimes against the property overall, a decrease of 35.8%. That's 4,418 incidents less than this time last year. If you think about that number, 4,418 less people victimized, had property stolen or damaged, that's a significant number in the city, and obviously something that we've been happy to see. Our theft under numbers, 42.7%. A lot of that has to do with things like shoplifting, which early in the pandemic, when stores are closed, obviously we're going to see a decrease in that. But things like mischief, willful damage, I think it's important to note that 23.9% decrease. When people are stuck at home and have more idle time on their hands, sometimes that's when things like that can increase. And so the fact that we're seeing nearly a 25% decrease there is positive. And of course, our theft of auto rates are continuing to trend low, 50.2% behind where we were at this time last year. So that's really positive. Crimes against the person, the decrease is a little smaller there. It's 3.9% overall. Our robberies are down roughly 18% from where they were last year. Our homicide numbers are up. This extract shows 11 because it's to the end of September, or sorry, 10, but the actual number is 11. So we are obviously experiencing a higher number of homicides in our city, which is very concerning, and something that we talk about. The challenge really is it's almost impossible to prevent something like that from happening. Those often involve emotional high-risk situations, and in Regina, most of the homicides are linked closely to drugs or to have some sort of a domestic link to them. I will note, though, that in our homicide category, that although our number is up, our clearance rate is continuing to be at 100%, and that's something that we're proud of as an organization. It's got a lot to do with investigative efforts that start right from the initial call for service. Our comm center takes the call, our frontline response, and then through the investigation that often ends up involving numerous areas in our investigative services division, but certainly our major crimes area. So that's positive. So overall, when you combine the two categories, we're at a 30.7% decrease over where we were at this time last year. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions? Comments? Councillor Young?
So how do you think COVID figures into this?
Yeah, I think it's a little it's tough to know, Councillor. We assume, and I think across Canada we're seeing some trends where COVID had some early impacts, but we're also seeing the counter of that once things opened up a little bit as well. So I think the early impacts definitely in property crime were noticeable. Break and enters to homes were down, and theft like shoplifting, those types of thefts were down, even from vehicles, and theft of vehicles were down. And so I think those are the categories where we see it. You've heard me report before that while we saw decreases in those, we saw increases in categories like drug use, overdoses, suicides, domestic disputes, and so those are quite volatile files, and they can be complicated and take some time to work our way through, as opposed to taking a shoplifter, which tends to be a relatively short time investigation and involvement by our officers. So we saw a little bit of yin and yang through the COVID period. Definitely played a part in it, and I would say more on the property side than anything.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Jada, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Receive and file report 27, please. Okay. Councilor Murray, anyone opposed? That's carried. So that's the end of our public session items. I want to go back because I was out of the room and I apologize for this is report 26. I'm hoping that we'll have that as a prominent report on our website as well. It's a
Yes.
wonderful report. It's really an objective, third-party, independent evaluation, and I think we should be very proud of our police service and our ranking. I think it's very positive, and particularly some of the cross-current conversations you hear around the country and around the world. So, Chief, this is a testament to great work that you're doing, and recognized from a third party is all the more powerful. So that's very good.
Thank you.
And lastly, I just want to thank in public the citizen members of the commission, Vic Packratz and JD. I want to thank both of you for the service over the past number of years. I know JD, you came in about halfway through this term, and Vic, you were here for the entire term. I want to thank you very much for your contribution. You've done an outstanding job of representing the citizens of our city, and have lots of energy and insight and direction that you gave us. So thank you very, very much. I'll allow other people to speak if you want before we move into a private session. Members of council, if you want to say anything, not to put you on the spot, but I'll do that. Vic?
I'd neglected under article or item 2026. I intended to make some comments and I motioned myself past that. At any rate, I just wanted to comment to Chief that on this Angus Reid survey, it's ironic that we have literally Regina at the top of the list in terms of public confidence in what you're doing. And on the other hand, we see the annual report that places Regina at the top of the list in terms of most crimes, etc. So what that tells me is that under the worst possible circumstance, you've achieved the best of them all against what would appear to be against the odds. And I want to congratulate you and the members of your police service. I'm not surprised that you rated that high, but I think it's high time that it became public and noticed by people. Congratulations.
Thank you. Good. Any other closing comments by anybody before I ask for the motion for the private session? It's a very muted group today. Councilor Murray.
I wanted to publicly thank Commissioners Pankratz and Yee for the service over the last term, and for Commissioner Yee the last 2 years. I know attending those conferences for CAPG with both of you was a great experience. I think we learned a lot, and you guys always bring great insight to the table. And thanking Commissioner Yee for his motion earlier, was that 3 months ago now? So appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Murray. Councilor Young.
Thank you, Your Worship. I too really enjoyed the conferences that we attended. I think we really formed a group and we came together, and it was one of the highlights. And Jada, we will miss you, and Vic, I hope maybe you're going to come back, and maybe Joel and I will be back. Who knows? But this has been a wonderful experience, a very educational experience. We've learned a lot, and there's still a lot that we have yet to learn. So I want to just thank everybody for all the work you do. People don't realize how much work you do and how good we have it here with our Regina Police Service. I think they're just beginning to realize that now when they see what happened after all of the issues that happened in the U.S. and how many people came forward with support for this police service. So thank you for the time that I've had with you. Maybe I'll have some more.
Good. Vic?
Thank you. I just wanted to add my comments too, since this is our last time together, potentially. It has been a great pleasure and an honor to work with you guys over the years. and to be part of this process, which keeps me attached to, I guess, my number one career I ever had. And I also want to say, Yeda, I don't know who's going to look after me at the next conference if you're not there to shepherd me around and take care of me. That's a bit of an inside situation we shared there, but no, it was great to go to these conferences, and it's I always look forward to these meetings, and it's been terrific. So thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you, Vic. Jada?
Yeah, save the best for last, huh?
That's right.
I just
Depends
wanted
what
to
you
thank
say.
everyone. Yeah. I wanted to just kind of really thank, my colleagues here, Councillor Young, Councillor Murray, and of course, Your Worship. It has been an absolute honor for me to sit on the Board of Police Commissions. And, my elders always teach me that it's always a good thing when you see people walk in a journey in a good way. And this has been an absolute journey for me these past couple of years. Thank you so much for, as much as I've taught you, you guys have taught me so much more. And I want to thank you for that. And, even though I'm leaving, I'm leaving in a good way. And I hope you guys stay in contact with me. And Chief Bray, you and your team were absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much. You guys are doing so well in everything you do. And you guys work so hard. This has been a trying year for everyone. And you and your team, everyone in this room has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. And I wish you guys all well.
Thank you, Jada, very much. And with that, Chief, you have some
Sure,
questions?
yeah, if you don't mind, I had some comments I was going to say at the end, but being as we're saying it now, I'll give you just some brief comments. We really do appreciate the work, the attention, and the professionalism of our board. We only really get a chance to meet once a month, with the exception of the odd special meeting. And so in that time, our team continues to submerge ourselves in policing issues and challenges and opportunities and all kinds of things. And we eat and breathe and sleep about and think about policing all the time. And we have a group of people who come together and are forced to kind of absorb all of that information, sometimes in one or two meetings in a month. A lot of the other thing I always say about policing is, for a lot of us, this has been a lifelong dream to do it. Not a lot of people, I think, when they're young, think I someday would like to be on a board of police commissioners, but yet I'm appreciative, and we are all appreciative of the fact that you are. We have a great professional relationship with our board, which doesn't mean we get what we want. In fact, often it means that we're challenged, we're held to account. There are standards and questions and concerns that are brought up, but that's healthy for us as an organization. And so we have had a really enjoyable, positive, professional working relationship between our police service and our board, and for that we're very appreciative. And so, yeah, we know that there is going to be somewhat of a new look. We're losing our Commissioner Yee, so we're sad to see you go. And Jada, we very much appreciate the special lens that you brought to this board. I think your focus on predominantly not just Indigenous but diversity issues and the questions that you brought forth, I think really challenged us in a positive way and has enhanced lots of different areas of our police service. And given the fact that we're losing Jada for sure, we're also going to be gaining a couple of new board members. We're going to have a bit of a larger board in the new year and potentially some other new people. I just want you all to know how much we appreciate that. And I'm including Elaine in this because often it's Elaine that we use as the middle person to convey messages, emails, information sharing, those types of things. So on behalf of our police service, our executive team that you see on a monthly basis, thank you very much for your professionalism, your diligence, and your focus on something that we love dearly, and that is the Regina Police Service. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I do want to thank Elaine, too, for putting up with us and making sure that this commission works very well. But I have one question, Jada, to ask you. You do wear many hats that you bring to the table. Does that include the hats that you have behind you? And if it does, can you put one of those on, please?
When do you want?
Going to miss this group absolutely for sure. This has been fantastic. Thanks, everyone, for this. And with that, I would ask for a motion to accept the private agenda, please, private session.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Anyone opposed? That's carried. We'll take a 10-minute break and then we'll go into our private session. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.